Lunch breakers and takers, do us a favor. Take a minute to hit that like and subscribe button. Also hit that notification bell so you don't miss any of our videos in the future. So, all right, today Eric DeCosta had his end of the season press conference. And, look, depending how you look at it, he could have said a lot or he could have said a lot of nothing, right? Me and B, we're going to just kind of look at what he said and break down what we think those things mean.
Yeah, so he opened the press conference by thanking, a lot of members of the front office and thanking the coaching staff and the players, for a great season and everything. Yeah. And, as you said, we can be a little bit kind of negative or offering a lot of constructive criticism.
Yeah, I like that one.
On the
constructive
team.
Criticism, yeah.
But yeah, we do want to take a minute to acknowledge that, listen, it was a very difficult season for everyone, for everybody in the NFL. They did have a lot of injuries, and all things considered, they did a good job. They went 11-5. They won their first playoff game with Lamar. Yeah. The Bills game didn't go as they would have wanted, but all in all, pretty good season.
Yes.
Obviously they want to get better. The ultimate goal is a Super Bowl, but nothing to hang their heads about this year. With that said, now it's time for some more constructive criticism. Eric DeCosta, he talked about, wanting to get better everywhere on the team. Every season, we can all do better. I can be better. The coaches can be better. Every position group can be better. But one thing he did kind of, hit on a lot was protecting Lamar. And it sounded like, improving the O-line is going to be a big focus of the offseason. And I think that's great.
Yes, absolutely.
Desperately needed.
Yes. Now, yes, like we said, we criticize a lot of moves that they make, especially on the offense. They just, they neglect the offense in our opinion. But to hear him stress that they need to protect Lamar and also, they want to extend Lamar, that sounds great to us because that's the number one priority is one, protecting Lamar, and then one B. 1A is protecting him, 1B is getting him some weapons. Yeah. Now 1B, we'll see.
He was a little shaky on 1B. He was a little shaky on 1B. But yeah, you mentioned that they do want to try to get him extended this offseason. This is the first chance that they're going to have to actually work out a long-term deal with him. It's great that they're just kind of diving in and trying to get that done. If I'm Lamar, I'm probably not going to sign right away. Right?
Yeah, I agree. And we discussed this offline. If I'm Lamar, look, I know a lot of fans don't want to hear this. I mean, I would love to see Lamar spend his whole career here, but not if it's going to be a situation where they're just going to run him to the ground. If I'm Lamar, I'm waiting. I'm waiting to see if you're adding some weapons. I'm waiting to see if you're adding protection. And I'm also waiting to see what you're going to do long-term with the offensive coordinator, right? Mm-hmm. Even the head coach, if we're being honest, because the way you're using him now, I mean, you're running him more than any other rushing quarterback has ever run before.
Yeah. We looked at the numbers earlier.
Yeah.
After 3 seasons, he's almost halfway to the career total of carries that Cam Newton has.
Yes.
He's at like 480. I forget. I want to say 488. But he's averaging more than 10 carries a game for his career at this point, and it's way too much.
Yeah, he's actually averaging close to 13 carries per game for his career. That's insane for your quarterback. I asked in a previous video if you saw Ryan Tannehill running the ball 10 to 15 times per game, would you be saying, yeah, that's playing to his strengths, or would you be saying, what are you doing running your quarterback that many times? And keep in mind, Ryan Tannehill played wide receiver in college. Yeah. Okay, Lamar didn't play wide receiver. He didn't play running back. He didn't do any of that stuff. He played quarterback. Okay, so this notion that running Lamar is playing, that many times is playing to his strengths is nonsense. Okay,
right.
He's showing you that he can pass. He's showing you that he's a very efficient passer.
Mm-hmm.
Probably one of the most efficient passers in the league.
Yeah. You're looking 3 years in, 68 touchdowns to 18 interceptions to this point.
Yeah.
And that's without great wide receivers without. I mean, last year they had pretty good protection. This year, awful, right? Yeah. So yeah, if they can do it, obviously we'd be on board with them signing Lamar to a long-term deal. Sure. He deserves it. He's earned it. And yeah, we wanted to be the quarterback of the Ravens for his entire career.
Yes.
But again, like I said, I would be hesitant if I were Lamar, and part of that is because of the way DeCosta talked about 1B. When he was asked multiple times about bringing in wide receivers. Now, I will say one positive. They asked him about the narrative that's out there that, a wide receiver won't come to play in Baltimore because you don't throw a lot. And he said he's never heard that from any player at any point. Like, all he hears is that people want to come and play with Lamar.
Yeah.
And, the idea that, you'd have to overpay. Like, no, people want to come to Baltimore. They want to be a part of that team. They want to be a part of that organization. So, I mean, I that's not something that he should really even have had to address. But, it's something that people put out there all the time.
Yeah, we get those in our comment section sometimes, and it's a complete joke. We just saw AB say this offseason that he wanted to play here. Mm-hmm. Right? We saw that. Now, a lot of our fans didn't want AB here for whatever reasons, and it's one of those things where it's like beggars can't be choosers. You know what I mean? He's a quality wide receiver. He was going to come for cheap, and he had a desire to play here. Now, he's not the only person. I mean, there's like Eric DeCosta said, there are a lot of players that want to come here. But it's just a matter of, does the organization put value in that position? And obviously they don't. Right. So we got to look to see if they're going to put some kind of value this offseason in that position. Now, that me and B kind of differ on that a little bit. B doesn't really think we're going to get anybody that's a real quality of wide receiver. I think we will, but it probably won't be Allen Robinson, if we're being honest. But
no. He was trying to kill that rumor just in the cradle, basically. When he was asked about wide receiver, he said, "Yeah, we're going to have like $15 million. So we're not maybe going to be able to do that."
So let's break that down for a second, because he did say that he found it interesting that the Ravens are going to be ranked like I think he said 10th or 11th in salary cap, but they're only going to be operating with about $15 to $20 million. Right. Now, to me, the $15-20 million, I mean, that's not saying anything. You're ranked 10th or 11th in salary cap. That tells me you have an opportunity to sign some of these guys. That means, okay, if you're ranked 10th, there are 22 other teams that can't outspend you. Yeah. Right. And you don't have that many needs.
Yeah. And you look at, Jacksonville has a lot of money. Yeah. But I don't think Allen's going back there. Okay, so let's go ahead and cross that off the list. Yeah. Yeah. And also, I don't know if the 15 to 20 million he was talking about was including the money they freed by releasing Mark Ingram. Right. They could also, we mentioned before, open up another $5 million by releasing Nick Boyle. From his comments, like, that's not even a consideration. It sounded like. No. So he said that Jacob Breland and another tight end, I forget his name, were going to be battling for the number 3 spot. So yeah, when he was asked about wide receiver, he went immediately to, we don't have very much money, and we've got guys to re-sign, and we may not be able to afford them. So to me, that says, Allen Robinson, maybe they'll put in a call and see how much he wants, but that's not going to go very far. Right. My assumption at this point, after listening to Harbaugh and listening to DeCosta, is to expect a player, maybe not necessarily this specific player, but a player on the level of a Nelson Aguilar is what I would be expecting out of this offseason if I were Ravens fans.
And, I'd be okay with Nelson Aguilar plus another wide receiver. I have no problem with that. I think Aguilar has he's really bounced back from his Philly days, and he turned into a solid wide receiver last year. And he could come in and help out. And that would, even Nelson Aguilar by himself would be an improvement, just not enough in my opinion. Yeah. Now you get Aguilar and somebody else, now we're talking. It's okay if we don't get the top guy, although I would love to get that for our star wide receiver. But if we can get at least 2 really good, solid contributors, that could help a lot.
Yeah. And listen, we're not unreasonable, right? Obviously, it's going to be tough to sign Allen Robinson, even if they had a bunch of money. a pile of money, it would be tough to sign Allen Robinson. Everybody's going to be trying to sign Allen Robinson.
Yeah.
So even if they said, hey, yeah, we're going to get Nelson Aguilar and then we're going to draft a wide receiver in round 2, I would say, okay, that's not what I was hoping for, but we'll give that a solid B, B minus somewhere in there.
But look, when it comes to wide receivers, listen, me and B are watching. Okay, you could say we don't have the money to sign somebody. There are wide receivers available via trade. The Vikings were interested in a trade with us, to give us what's his name?
Adam Thielen.
To give us Adam Thielen, and they didn't work it out. I said on the previous video, revisit that trade. Mm-hmm. Mike Thomas, right? Can't guard Mike. He's probably going to be on the move.
Unless you're Carlton Davis.
Yeah. he's probably gonna be on the move, more than likely, because the Saints have a lot of moves they have to make to get under the cap. A lot of moves. So those are 2 guys right there that could really make a difference over here. And this year cannot be a year where it's just like, oh, we wanted to get this person, but we just couldn't. We tried to trade for this person, but we just got beat out. Nah, that can't happen this year. So we'll see what moves they make there. What else do you want to talk about?
He mentioned again specifically edge rushers.
Yes.
He mentioned how they really liked having as much depth as they did, and they were able to play certain players in certain matchups and, rotate a lot of guys through the front 7, and that they probably weren't going to be able to do that next year. They have their top 5 edge rushers are all free agents. He did mention that they have a few guys that they're looking at in free agency already.
Yeah.
And that, obviously they would like to keep some of their own guys. So, when I heard that, what I was thinking is, they're really, really leaning towards defense again. And it made me think that, the first round pick probably going to be an edge rusher, and they're probably going to try, and if they don't re-sign Judon or Yannick, they're probably going to go after somebody in free agency, and that's where the bulk of the money is going to be spent.
Yeah.
So I did not like that. But it kind of is what it is. That's who the Ravens have always been.
Yeah.
We were hoping to see 3 straight years in the playoffs losing out mainly because of the offense kind of shake them up a little bit, but there aren't really any indications of that so far.
No, there aren't, but there has to be a breaking point even for them. Look, we heard DeCosta say, look, this is who we are. We want to be a physical team and run in a run first team, pretty much. So that's going to be the identity. Like, we're not going to pass the ball as much as other teams. And to a certain extent, okay, I can accept that. That's it is what it is. But, like he says, like Harbaugh says, like everybody says, we have to be more efficient. We do have to be more efficient. But you can't just say we have to be more efficient and players are going to be more efficient. That's on coaching. And can't stress that enough. If that's your job as a coach, is to have your players ready, have them playing more efficient, right? Because that's what's supposed to make up for talent. Uber efficient team that doesn't make a lot of mistakes, right? They're all on the same page. You do that with coaching. That's where you guys step up, Harbaugh. That's where you step up, Roman, right? Like that's where you guys are supposed to come in and make sure they're playing that way, so we can, as fans, look at it and say, yeah, you know what, we can, they can get it done without a true number 1. But look, there's obviously some deficiencies there. I mean, you can't even get your O-line to sit still pre-snap, right? Through a whole game. Like there's always pre-snap penalties every single game. So you don't have what it takes.
Right.
You don't have what it takes on offense to get these guys there. So to make up for that, if you're not going to fire anybody, is you have to make up with it with talent. Mm-hmm. So go and get some talent.
Yeah, I think they will on the O-line. That's something that Baltimore always does. It was a bad year this year, losing Marshall Yanda and trying to replace him with Tyree Phillips and and a collection of guards who didn't have a lot of experience. Right. But I think that they will get that taken care of. I think they'll get the center position taken care of. Yeah. Just not as confident at all at wide receiver. I really, like I said, if they sign a good wide receiver and then they draft a wide receiver high, okay, we'll see how it goes. But they don't have a history of being able to do that in the draft, right?
Yeah.
So, I mean, I really would love to see them really focus their free agency on offense altogether. Forget about the edge rushers for now. Uh, Even at this point, I've said in the past I don't want to see them take defense at all on the first 2 days. But man, if you go get Curtis Samuel and another good starting wide receiver like Corey Davis or even Allen Robinson or Galladay or Godwin or something like that, and you take care of your O line in the free agency and maybe even the first round, then yeah, go ahead and get your edge rusher on day 2, right?
Yeah.
But it can't be a situation where you're signing these guys back to play, on the edge who were ineffective this year, and then you turn around and say, "Oh, well, we just didn't have money for wide receiver."
Yeah.
It can't be that again.
Yeah. At some point, you have to put some effort into building up an offense, especially if you're going to spend a lot of money on Lamar Jackson.
Yeah.
All right. Because look, you have to ask yourself. I mean, Ravens fans, ask yourself this as well. Do you believe in Lamar Jackson or not? Do you believe that he can play this position? Because I hear a lot of Ravens fans out there saying that his best trait is running, and if that's the way you feel, then we shouldn't be re-signing him. We shouldn't be re-signing him. If you don't think he can throw the ball, if you don't think he can't be a good passer, which he's already proven in our opinion, and the numbers back it up. But if you don't believe that, the organization, if they don't believe that, don't re-sign him. Now, right. if you do believe that, if you do believe, no, this guy can be and can continue to be a good passer for us, then you have to ask yourself, how much longer are we going to be using him as our main rushing attack?
Yeah.
Right. It's not just that you're using him in the run game. You're using him as the main rushing attack for this team. How much longer are you going to do that? At what point do you say, all right, Giro, he can't run the ball 12 times a game anymore, right? 5 or 6 times a game, and you need to start using your running backs. We spent a second round pick on J.K. Dobbins. We got Gus Edwards, right? You need to start using those guys as your main rushing attack so we can preserve Lamar Jackson.
Right, because it might sound like you're exaggerating a little bit, but no, he had more carries than J.K. Dobbins and Gus Edwards. He was the number one running back for the team.
Yes.
Yeah, and the other thing you need to think about is, okay, if you believe that he is the franchise quarterback and he's a good passer and he's the guy you want moving forward, so you go ahead and re-sign him, right? You're talking about, in the neighborhood of $40 million a year, right? That's kind of where the going rate is. Yeah. So at that point, you are going to have less money to spend elsewhere, right? Do you trust the Ravens to draft wide receivers to put around him? Because if not, now's the time to go and get the future the guys who are going to grow with Lamar. Yeah. I, for one, I don't trust them at all to say, hey, we're going to give Lamar all this money and then we're just going to draft receivers for him to play with.
No.
I don't trust them to do that at all.
It's a combination. Like, even if we're drafting first-round wide receivers, maybe we get lucky and get the right one, but still, it's a problem with development here.
Yeah.
Right? We don't develop anybody.
And that's what I'm saying. So if you're Baltimore, go ahead and sign Lamar, right? But go and get Kenny Galladay. Go and get Chris Godwin. Go and get Allen Robinson, right? And then say, you know what we do well? We do defense well. So, moving forward, we'll find our edge rushers in the draft. No problem, because that's what we do.
Yeah.
You don't find wide receivers.
No.
You've never found them.
That's true. That's true. So, like we said, he said a lot more, but those are the main things that we wanted to focus on. Mm-hmm. Is just, he didn't seem that enthusiastic about fixing the offense. And, it's the same old story. It's the same old story. When it comes to offense, then we take a hard look at the cap and what we can and can't do. When it comes to defense, cap rarely gets brought up. It's, we're definitely going to make this move. We're definitely going to make this move. So I just want that to flip. one of these days where we say, yes, we're going to make it happen on offense. And when people ask about defense, you say the same thing that you say about the offense. People just got to step up.
Yeah.
Okay. When B mentions, don't worry about the edge rushers. We get people in our mentions like, yo, what you mean don't worry about edge rushers? Well, I mean, don't worry about them. We got guys on the team. Tell them to step up.
Yeah.
Tell them to step up.
Go re-sign Tyus Bowser. I mean, he's probably going to be cheap. Bring back Jihad Ward. You got Jalen Ferguson. Get a guy or two on day 3.
Yeah, go get somebody for the vet minimum or something like that, and that's your those are your edge rushers. That's your edge rusher core, and okay, they might be average or below average, but what does it really matter as much as we blitz, right?
Yeah.
Is our defense going to drop off the face of the earth? No, they'll be just fine. We have a really good defense. Take that money and put it into the offense. But I am encouraged by him saying that they want to make a priority fixing that O-line. Although he said that last year and they sucked.
Yeah. I'm willing to say they just kind of missed last year, right? I mean, you didn't have an off season, so that's tough to get the rookies going. And DJ Fluker, I mean, even though we knew he couldn't play tackle, he was a disappointment at guard also.
You know what? I don't know if they missed. I don't know if they missed.
I mean,
they didn't spend
any
top resources on O-line.
Yeah, I just mean missed in terms of didn't have them ready for this season. Like I think Tyree Phillips will be fine. Okay. I think he will, right? But like we said, they didn't have that offseason to get them ready for an NFL year. We didn't see Ben Bredesen at all, really.
Sure.
So I think they'll be okay there. And I think they'll get that taken care of. I mean, more than even the guards, I don't think are an issue. They need to find a center and they need to bring in another tackle.
Yes, absolutely.
And I would prefer they do that early.
Yeah. So okay, that was a quick breakdown of what the GM said today, and let us know what you think. What did you take away from the press conference? He said some more stuff in there, but those are the main things that we wanted to hit on.
Said he loves Popeye's chicken.
Yes, he loves Popeye's chicken.
Man.
Oh, he did mention Mark Andrews and them wanting to bring back Mark Andrews, and they'll probably get that done.
Yeah, I'm sure they will.
Yeah,
I'm sure.
And that's good. That's good. I like Mark Andrews, and he's another person we're a little critical of, but he is a good tight end. So
yeah, and a big problem for the Ravens right now is just all the youth on offense, which is another reason I don't really want to see another draft pick at receiver necessarily. I want them to go and get an established player.
Yeah. But look, if we get the right guy in the draft, I won't be mad at that either. Yeah. But ultimately, look, guys, it's going to be a common theme on this channel. We're looking front office and coaching staff for some of the problems that this team is having. Ultimately, not getting over the hump and getting to the Super Bowl. You talk about execution, that goes right. You're basically saying coaching. When people say, "Hey, players just got to execute," you're just that's another way of you saying coaches need to step up.
Yeah,
because that's how you get them to execute. You coach them up, and this team does not look like they're coached up on offense at all.
No,
at all. So, we'll see how this year goes, man. It's going to be an interesting offseason, and we're going to be here, and we're going to be watching every step of the way.
Yes.